Alright guys, sorry about that. Sometimes I have OBS set for my audio interface, and sometimes I have it set for the internal microphone, etc., etc. I don't want to bore you with the technicalities, but I screw up when I do things on my own sometimes. Anyway, hi there. What's happening? So you guys can hear me now? Still silent. Seems fine. I did see the stream go. Still nothing. You guys can hear it? Okay, good. Sounds like it's working now. Maybe people in the chat let other folks know just to restart the stream or go to the new... I don't know if it showed up as a new stream or what. Sorry, I'm such an idiot with this stuff, guys. But just let people know to restart it or something. It should work now. Good. Okay, it looks like it's working. Brian says he loves Thornbuckers. Can I give thoughts on the Thornbucker neck parallel versus split? I use it split. You know, I don't have it wired in parallel in any of my guitars. It's probably going to sound just a little bit thicker in parallel. It's a slightly different sound. It doesn't quite, the parallel thing doesn't quite sound like a single coil, but it's close, you know. And generally speaking, it's going to be a little fatter than a split single coil sound. That's what I find. Okay, everybody said this is fine. Excellent. And alrighty. I don't know, there's a couple people like Judd Lofthouse says he still can't hear, but it must be something on the other end. Maybe just restart your stream. Let him know, maybe, guys, if you can, or I'll just type it in here. Restart stream if you still having sound issues. See if that works. How do I hold my pick? A lot of people say I hold my pick really weird, but it's... And do I anchor my picking hand with a finger? It's a great question. I've been trying to practice doing that for years now, because generally, no, I don't. It's just my wrist on the base of the bridge. The only one that I've ever seen that sort of looks like similar picking to me is Vi. I sort of noticed that he has a similar right hand thing, you know, and doesn't, as far as I've seen, doesn't really do the anchoring the finger thing. But the anchoring the finger thing, to me, whenever you see players that are pretty good at arpeggiating through chords, they do that stuff. So I do work on it, and I've gotten better at it, actually. Trying to, you know, anchor my hand in order. It gives you another, like, point of reference on the face of the guitar, so you can pick more accurately, I think. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing it, that's for sure. And I think for some things it's really good. Oscillation Overdrive says, great job on the Revival Drive demo. What happens if you record direct with it? You would just need to record into a cabinet sim of some sort, I would say. You know, somebody was mentioning, can I do it with the Iconoclast? And I was like, yeah, that would work. Or, you know, IRs on the computer. A bunch of different ways you could do it. You could use it with a the little Moore pedal, the radar. Yeah, when you're playing a big place, is there latency between wireless monitors, the PA, and can that mess you up? Yes, sure. The most I ever experienced it was, I mean, it's not really the wireless and stuff like those little milliseconds of latency you're not going to notice in a big place. Where you get the latency issues with the PA, and like if you're on a ramp, so let's say that goes out into the middle of the audience, and you're walking from the front of the stage, and you walk out, you start to hear the PA. And the PA is way behind, like, and depending on how far you go out, it's, you know, just increases that time. So when you're using in-ears, you either have to have wedges all the way along those ramps that are really quite loud, and, you know, that just kind of, you know, not cancel out, but overpower the sound coming from the PA, at least enough that you can hear time from, you know, you got lots of drums in them, I find. That's the most important thing, so you don't lose the, you know, where you know, the feel of the song or whatever, and start playing weird when you get out there. And the most I ever experienced was at that big Fuji gig that I did with Tyoshi, because the ramps on either end were 200, it was 200 meters wide, that stage. So if you went all the way out to the end and all the way out to the other end, you were so far from the stage that it was crazy. And then to go out front on the long ramp going out into the crowd was like, it was probably at least a 200 millisecond or 300 millisecond delay coming off the PA. So you had to use in-ears, really, in order to, I don't know how we would have done it without, we would have had to wedge it really loud otherwise. Leon says he's never had a Badger amp, or sorry, he's never had a Marshall amp, but he does have a Badger 35. Is it comparable to Marshall? I find they're sort of smoother. They're not as like teethy and, you know, as a Marshall. The Badgers were designed by John to be a little bit more like that Americana meets British probably thing, you know, like a little bit more like maybe friendly than a Marshall, but they will do a pretty good Marshall, especially the 30. The 84s that are in the Badger 18 and Badger 35 give it a kind of a more like it's, I don't even know if they sound voxy, but they do have a there's kind of a different character to the Overdrive that I don't really think is super Marshall-y necessarily. Plus they're cathode bias, those amps, and the cathode bias thing, I think it brings it a little bit more towards matchless or something like that in its feel, and there's a sort of a warmth and like a forward mids thing to the tone, and I don't mean in a toothy upper mids kind of way. I mean kind of a creamy thing. So they're a little creamier sounding, I would say, than Marshalls when they get, especially when they get gainy. Okay, just gonna figure out where I was here. And the Henrik says loves the videos with Tor. Awesome stuff. Yeah, I had so much fun out there. That's he's speaking about the videos I made with TC. And we had a great time. And so they're slowly starting to trickle those videos out that we made as they edit them and stuff like that. And I had a good time working with him. He's awesome. Missed Denmark. That was fun over there. Okay. Let's see here. It's number 25 this week. Done 25 of these. Pretty stoked on that. I can only do about an hour today because I got to run to my studio space. I'm going to track drums for a song, like one of the last things I'm doing for the record, for my new record. So Kurt Pesquera's coming over and we're going to set up drums in my place, which I'm super excited about because I've never done it. And in that live room I have there, I got a great big high ceiling and stuff, so I think it should be pretty fun. So got that going on today. Got to get this record done. Did Tor mention the Aeon? That's how you pronounce it? I think their new Ebo thing. He did mention it, and yes, and I worked with it while I was there, and it's cool. It is cool. Do string trees that you mount on your headstock between you and your tuners actually work for Gibson guitars? Oh God, I wouldn't add. No, you don't need one on a Gibson because Gibsons already have the headstock tilting back, and that gives you the downward angle. You know, with Fenders, it was an issue of needing some more downward pressure on the nut to get a good solid open, solid note happening. If that makes sense on the open strings, and also so the strings wouldn't pop out of the nut. I don't really think you need string trees on a Fender. I don't have them on my old Strat. You just have to wind the string all the way to the bottom of the post, and it generally will give you enough tension on the string. So that's a good thing to know on the high strings. You know, you can either do staggered tuners, which is a great upgrade for any Fender guitar or Fender style, you know, where the tuners, the posts actually get shorter as you go all the way down to the high E string. That'll give you enough pressure over the nut to not need a string tree, because any place where that string where it's scraping across something, right, when you're using the tremolo bar or bending a string, any place where that string is scraping, any extra bit of tension is just causing tuning problems, in my experience. So you want to eliminate as many of those as possible. So string trees I really don't like, actually. Gibson guitars, there's this thing called the String Butler that Tim Pierce did a video for. So you can check it out on, just look on YouTube, you know, look for String Butler Tim Pierce and you'll find it. And it, I believe it's rollers, and so it's not really a string tree. It guides the strings around to the tuning pegs, a little less of that sharp angle from the nut cutting over to the tuning peg, and it kind of gives it a roller to go around. It's adding an extra thing, but it seems to work. I don't know, from what Tim says, it seems to work pretty good. So, but that's not really a tree. It's more like a guide. Thoughts on GitCon, says Jeff. I have mixed thoughts on it. It's a little bit of an odd situation, I guess. Henning's not working with GetCon anymore, and it was his idea. He came up with it, and he originally had brought it to the attention of the folks at Warwick Framus. And now he's not going to do it. He's going to go do a different thing, I think, maybe. And the GitCon is still happening, and it's confusing for me because Henning's my friend. I really like him actually, and he's a great guy. And yet the Framus Warwick people were very nice to me as well, and they were really accommodating and put on a nice event. And I don't know what to think as far as it goes. I've been invited and I'm just a little confused, so I have to talk to everybody, I guess, and see what I think about it. It's it's a little confusing at this point, but it's still a ways off. So figure out what's going on with it. Thoughts on impedance stacking a pedal chain and setting up gain on an interface. Thoughts on impedance stacking a pedal chain. Well, impedance stacking. I mean, if you've got a buffer at the beginning of your chain, you're low impedance all the way through after that anyway. Generally I have a buffer at the beginning and a buffer at the end of my pedals. So just to make sure that the last pedal when it's on in my chain isn't like raising the impedance up to a certain strange level that some sounds could be weird. So I have a buffer right at the end as the last thing as well. So yeah. Let's see here. Talk about GitCon, said Dan. Well, yeah, that's my take on it. I just don't know what to think about it, to tell you the truth. You guys tell me what you think. What should we all do? What's your feelings on it? Ted said 2 weeks ago he was going to rewire his guitar and use the Sir signature wiring. He never liked double humbucker guitars much until now. He loves the parallel bridge. That's great, man. I'm glad you dig it. I like it too. The two humbucker things, so much versatility there. And so thanks for all you do, Pete. Hey, I appreciate that. Thank you. Tips on books or resources regarding chord progressions and songwriting. I don't know, to tell you the truth. I didn't learn really from any books for chord progressions and songwriting. Resources, I would say the Beatles. Just learn Beatles songs, and you'll find some very interesting the way that one chord will lead into another. Beautiful things. Like in Julia, when the G minor chord comes around, you're like, oh my God, I never would have thought to play that chord there. So pick up a Beatles songbook and just start learning those, and you'll know everything you need to know about. Not everything, but they really. Those guys for all being in their 20s when they broke up. Did you know that? The Beatles were all in their 20s when they split up. They did all that work in their 20s. Amazing. Just to put things in perspective. They were all under 30 when they were done with that band. David says he's walking through Kroger and he can hear me but can't see me. That's probably a good thing. You'd bother the other shoppers, I'm sure, with my ranting. One more astronaut says, would pairing a Thornbucker in the neck with something hotter like a JB in the bridge be too much of a difference in terms of a volume jump? I don't know. You can always raise the neck pickup and lower the bridge pickup and try and balance it out that way. They're going to tonally be pretty different. JB's pretty MIDI compared to the open thing. It might be cool though. I mean, it's not like people don't do single coils in the neck with a JB in the bridge. So, you can try and balance them out. Eric says, saw your video with Tor on series and parallel chains. Could you please explain how the stereo signal works on the Eventide H9 and TC pedals? Just effect signal on the left. No, it's not like that. That's kind of the old stereo chorus way of doing things, like the old Boss C ones would only chorus one side, and then the other side was dry, and then it sounded like stereo because one side is modulating and the other side isn't. The H9s and TCs, they're not going to work that way. I don't think TC Corona chorus maybe. I don't think so though. I think the whole signal is modulated and it's probably just modulating the left and right sides at a slightly different rate or something. Like when you use a Strymon pedal, for example, you'll notice if you plug it in stereo, there's a bit of a split automatically. Like even on an El Cap or something like that, you'll plug it in and there'll be it won't be mono delay up the middle when you're going out to two amplifiers, let's say, or if you're listening in headphones, let's say, or something to a stereo signal, you got a hard pan, you'll notice that the delay actually spreads the sound a little bit. And what's happening there is one side's going to be a slightly different time than the other side, and they just do that in order to give the sound a little bit of spread. They figure if you're plugged in stereo, well, you probably want some imaging. So that's generally how it's done. Is it's just going to do, either delay each side a little bit differently, or that sort of thing. Modulate each side a little bit differently. And I would say that I don't technically know exactly, but on an H9 or on a Hall of Fame or something, you definitely there's definitely stereo going on so you would have to ask them exactly how they're doing it. But my guess is that it's modulating each side a little differently or delaying each side a little different. Have I tried the power cab? No, but it looks really cool, that line 6 thing. Right? Is that what you're talking about? It looks really cool, and you just reminded me I have to hit up my buddy Matt at line 6 because I want to check that thing out. It looks pretty interesting. Opens up a whole world of possibilities. It's this powered cabinet that you can also, you can model, so it's a full range cabinet as I understand it, but it looks like a little guitar cabinet. And you can model different speakers with it. So in other words, it's got like loaded in it like Celestion Greenback or V30, sort of like, sort of a tonal footprint for the internal speaker, and you can load those and kind of mock up the sounds of those different, it's like a modeled speaker. It's not IRs, I guess, but you can also load IRs into it. So you got the option of loading your own impulses in there and then hearing those through the cabinet. So that's interesting. I mean, it seems like it's pretty great for somebody, if you've got, say, maybe you got a head and a reactive load, you could use it with that, like a non-master head that's really loud, and plug it into your reactive load and then use that cabinet to amplify, really small, easy, and a whole bunch of uses for that thing, as far as I can tell. Obvious use using it with a modeler and the internal cab sims in any modeler, IRs or whatever, plug it in with an Axe-Fx or a Helix or anything like that, and you're good to go as well. But there's a whole bunch of other, because of the fact they've got that speaker modeling as well as your ability to load IRs in it. That was really, really smart. I've never thought of that, make a cabinet with an IR loader in it. It was one idea of, because I've got all kinds of ideas about powered cabinets and stuff like that, but that one I'd never thought of, like, oh yeah, just put the IR loader right in the cabinet. It's pretty smart. Justin says he bought a Scumbag BM55 after talked about them. Best speaker for 112, nice and thick. Cool. I want to try one of those. See, now you got me. I've never done it yet either, so I should hit up Jim and have him make me one. 55 hertz. He's talking about a blackback style G12M, but with a bass cone. So most speakers, Greenbacks, G12M, they'll be 75 hertz lead cone speakers. You can also get them with a different bass resonance, 55 hertz, and those are called, bass cone speakers. So G12M Greenback bass cone. Celestion did make those, but you didn't see them very much. Generally, if you saw a bass cone speaker, they would be the G12H30, slightly higher power handling. But I've heard impulse responses of bass cone G12Ms, Greenback style, or Blackback if they were a little later. And I just love the sound of those speakers. Ownhammer has a bunch of IRs using one of those, and it would be like my favorite Greenback style. It's just like got this deeper thing it's still got tons of clarity and everything like that, but it's just like this awesome Greenback sound that I loved. So kind of want to try it. Can I play the intro for Mean Street with my teeth? I don't know. I'm going to go with no. I'm pretty sure. Let's see here. Do I hold my thumb over the neck and fret the low E string with it occasionally? Yeah, I do that. That's from Christopher Post. I do use the thumb on chords sometimes. Chris says, trying to move faster this week. Giving this a try. Go quicker. was watching some Thornley videos. He barely uses his pinky. Yeah, me neither. I barely use my pinky. People comment on it sometimes. Why don't you use your pinky? And it's like, I don't know. I mean, I do use it. It's funny to watch videos of yourself and see where you use it and like realize, oh, there it popped out for a second. I hit that note, but you don't really think about it. I just find my with I have a fairly good stretch, and so with the three main fingers on my left hand, whatever, I can do the most of what I want to do lead playing wise. And I use the pinky for the really big stretches to go out to the, like the next position you want to hit a note or something, and I'll do that sometimes. But it's definitely the kind of the weakest link as far as technique and stuff like that goes. Okay, moving down. Henrique and Jennifer are talking about dogs and stuff. I don't know what you guys are on about. Have you played the TC Electronic Spectre Drive with a guitar yet? Says Bobo. No, but I have one here, and I haven't tried it yet. It's for bass. So with guitar, no, I haven't tried it. The designer specifically told me that I probably wouldn't like it with guitar. But you never know. Maybe it's great for a certain guitar sound. But it's supposed to be great for bass. Have I tried the Love Pedal Chula? I heard it at Josh Smith's place, and it sounded great. He really likes that pedal. It's one of his main tones, I think. Okay. First time live viewer, says Thelonious J. What is my opinion on using an amp like a Roland JC40 for gigging? I mean, like with the right pedals, I guess they can be a good platform. People used to use JC120s and run overdrives and everything into them, and they could. I had friends that did it, and it was always a little heinous to me, but they're a cool sound. I mean, on their own, just the clean thing. It depends on the style of music, of course, because I mean, if you're doing mainly playing clean, it's probably sounds great, And I think that the Billy Duffy thing was always run a couple JC 120s or JC maybe the 77s or whatever, and use those for clean, and then switch to the Marshalls for dirt. So they can work well. They were a classic amp, kind of cool amp. What's the story with the picture behind me? It's a Marshall, Jim Marshall, and it's Mick and Keith Exile on Main Street sessions at Sunset Sound, I believe. So it's a real Marshall that I got before Jim passed away. Jim Marshall, for those that don't know, is one of the iconic rock photographers of all time, and one of the first, really, because he was taking pictures of Hendrix and Stones and stuff. He's the one that took the picture of Hendrix with the black strap where he's got his arm up. He's you've seen his pictures a million times, but. Our drummer with Chris Cornell, Jason Sutter, he's a big rock photography and art aficionado, and he took he got to be friends with Jim. And one day he was going over to see him, and this was not long before Jim passed away, like maybe just a couple months. And he was going over to his place, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to go pick up some Marshalls." And Jim's not well, and he said, if you want one, I should get one for you now, and I got a good price on it, and I bought it, and then Jim passed away. So it was really nice of Jason to hit me up. It's a cool thing to have, a little piece of rock history. Okay, I got it behind in the chat. I'm going to try and go faster. Just going back here. Sorry, guys. Figure out where I was here. Just 1 second. And Ross, well, a lot of people talking about GitCon, so I guess there was a lot of news this week about it. Yeah, you guys let me know what you think in the chat. How do you guys feel about it? I mean, I totally want to go still. It was a really, really nice event. Henning, is not doing it now, so I just don't know. He was going to do another event that he was talking about, but it was during time where I'm on tour, so I can't do that. And to tell you the truth, I already got Tim Pierce interested in GitCon and wanting to go, and Tim set aside time and booked another vacation time around kind of thinking, okay, well, we'll go do that, and then I'll go to. So there's all this that's happened, and then this whole thing happens, and I don't know. I just don't know what to think about it. I don't want to piss anybody off, and I want to have a good time and just go. You know, the great thing about GitCon was it was a great time, and it was low stress, and it was just a really nice event. I certainly don't want there to be a bunch of acrimony and bad vibes surrounding something that we're all going to go, you know what I mean, go do, and I don't know how to feel about it. I don't know exactly what happened, to tell you the truth. So I'm just not sure. And I really like Henning, and I really like the folks there at Framus Warwick. So they were very nice, and I don't know what to do. Okay, played any love pedals yet? Another question about love pedals. So I used to use the Eternity Overdrive, and I still have it. Great overdrive pedal, really good sounding overdrive pedal. That was my main lead tone for a long time. Was the Eternity, you know, boosting into a dirty amp. So I'm somewhat familiar with them. I've also done demos of the delay. Which one was it called? I can't remember what it was called, but it's this kind of tape delay pedal, and I thought it was really good. So, love pedal, it's good stuff. Christopher says, wish you could go to the album release meet and greet. Yeah, I wish you could too. I think we've sold about 25. It's a small room I'm doing it in, so I mean, if there's 30 or 35 people or 40 people there, it's going to be pretty packed. You know, I meant it to be kind of an intimate, you know, thing. We're just going to listen to the record and hang out a little bit. And so the small room in the Viper room, which is the downstairs room. So yeah, if anybody wants to come, it's on the Pledge Music site. You know, Pledge Music, Pete Thorn. You can go there to their website and find it, and you know, come to the party. I'm giving away a bunch of pedals, by the way, which so we're giving away a muff clone from Ryra, which is awesome. I've been using it on the record this week, and I'm going to sign it and give it away. And also a Line 6, the green delay, what's it called? DM4. We've got one of those we're giving away. Sir Mini Riot, all kinds of stuff. So there's others that I'm forgetting right now. But, you know, there's not going to be that many people there, so probably, you know, pretty good chance you're going to walk away with something if you come to the party. Alrighty. When do I switch between scale lengths, or when I switch between scale lengths, do I worry about changing string gauges to keep the feel the same? No, I just roll with it. You're saying, do I do that or just roll with it? It can be a little weird, but it doesn't really bother me that much. Tell us more about the new TC delay plug-in and USB interface. It's cool. I've used it just a little bit this week, and I haven't gotten into the manual. You know, the TC, if you've seen it, it's like a 2290, all the controls in a little interface box that you can type on your desk. So it's hardware control for a plug-in that accurately models the TC2290 delay. And I need to get into the manual and figure out how the remote works and stuff, because they've gone and, you know, intentionally they've recreated all the original controls off the front of a 2290. There's a little bit of a learning curve to it, but it sounds great. It includes the original factory 20 presets, and I've just been kind of paging through those and using them and modifying them a little bit. Chris says, get some Neo Creambacks yet? They rock with the SL67. No, not yet, but I plan on, you know, I've heard them, used them, played through them, and really liked them. And I want to try them in the next iteration of a PT212 cabinet for sure. Okay, do I need to borrow any mics for drum tracking? No, I think I'm covered, but thank you, sir. And my buddy Kurt Biscara, amazing drummer, he's played with everybody under the sun. He's coming over today to track drums, and he's bringing mics too. So I got a new UA Apollo 8P interface, and we're gonna unbox that sucker and plug it in and record some drums and one guitar track, my guide track. Is there an on that note, Sweet Daddy says, is there an interface you could recommend for an iMac? I highly recommend either UA or Apogee. I've used both for years and really like them. The UA, you know, Apollo Twin is the one that I use with my small computer. If you're just recording a couple tracks at a time, it's great. The Apogee stuff is great too. Long time friends with the Apogee folks. So I think they make nice things as well. Only 1 hour today. That's 2 in Pete time. Yeah, exactly. I have to be careful not to go over because that means I should only go another 20 or 25 minutes. All right. Let's see here. See, Rosewood Neck Professional Series Stratocaster. R2, R3. Oh, it's not a question. He's talking to somebody else. R2, R3, and David are talking amongst themselves. Alrighty. Let's see here. Do I notice a big difference using an ISO cabinet versus a bigger room? Oh, I see what you're saying. Still using close miking. So what I think what your question is, this is from N. Dawson, is if you've got an isolation cabinet or a cabinet that's got some space to breathe, is there a difference in the tone? You have to be careful with the ISO cabinets. So specifically like the little ISO cabinets where you've got, like a mic inside a box or something, they've all had this character to me that was like this sound. It's like they all do that to the guitar sound kind of boxy and closed down in this weird mids forward kind of, in not a pleasant way. And as you get into a bigger and bigger room, bigger space, you just kind of, that goes away and dissipates. The smaller the room gets, the more closed in, the more of that boxy thing you get in the sound. To a point, I mean, you can, you don't need a huge space. I did the whole first record, the Guitar Nerd record, with a 112 in a closet, and I just basically, put, it was like my coat closet, and I just surrounded it all with the soft stuff, with 702 foam and stuff, and kind of, I tried to build an ISO cabinet. There's a video of it actually on YouTube. Tried to build a little ISO box in that closet, put a lid on it, put the cabinet in. I hated the sound. It sounded boxy. As soon as I, took all the, I'm thinking about it, all I really needed to do was lift the lid off. But instead I destroyed the box, took it all apart, and just lined the walls with the foam and stuff. And then sort of close up the top, and it was fine. I never got a noise complaint from neighbors or anything like that. It was just totally cool, and I could crank that little 112 in there pretty loud. I would isolate it off the floor too. I lifted it up with some, like one of those, sort of like one of those gamma things, and that worked really good. So anyway, you just have to find the right room, to put a cabinet in order to avoid getting that boxy tone, because the boxy thing can happen in the small spaces for sure. Once again, I was using a 112. That's the other thing. Like, when you start dealing with 412s, they're moving more air, there's more speakers pushing more air into bigger space and stuff like that. So I would say experiment with 112 can sound great. I've done it. I highly recommend it. Even if you're playing metal or whatever, like a little Bogner 112 with a V30 or something can sound just terrific in a small space. Bruce says he's 29, only playing 6 months or so. He doubts he'll be gigging or putting on a show. Well, you never know. You might be. If you want to, you can. So do I recommend buying all the pedals that you want, or getting an amp like a PV Viper 2 or 3 and going from there? Get a good amp first that has a really good core tone that you like the tone of, and then start adding the pedals. Don't try and get your tone with the pedals. Make sure your guitar and amp sound great, and then just augment with effects. That's what I would say. Ben says he just bought a Akira Takasaki ESP custom shop from 1985 in mint condition. Wow, that's cool. That's cool. He says, any thoughts on that? I remember those guitars when they first came out. That's cool. That was before he kind of had his own killer brand, I think. It was like an ESP, custom shop kind of model. That's very cool. Have I seen the Nanolog audio wave function overdrive pedal? I have. I need to experiment with it more. I have one. I just need to experiment with it more. That's what I'll say. It's made by guys in my hometown of Edmonton. Let's see. Thornbuckers in an ash body single hum strat. I would say sure. That's from Dave. It's going to be fairly scooped. You know, they don't have tons of mids. They're got lots of clarity and stuff. Well, the bridge pickup the bridge pickup isn't real scooped. It's very balanced. The neck pickup is, but that can be a great thing for clarity. Let's see here. Al Pearson says, been playing a few years and always used AIO effects pedals, thinking of going to individual. I don't know what AIO is, but he says he's thinking of going to individual pedals. Any I can recommend for your first pedals? Oh, it really depends on what you're doing. I kind of talked about this with Tor in that video I just did for TC. Like, what if you had to eliminate, just about all pedals, you only have a few, what would you use? It's usually some kind of drive, fuzz, overdrive, distortion, and maybe a delay. And I really like compressors for clean, so I would probably want that. Of course, you need a tuner. Let's see here. Once again, somebody's asking about, already answered about what audio interface with Imac. I would go with the Apollo Twin or a bigger one, Apollo Quad or Apollo 8. If you need more pre's from UA, or look at the Apogee range, and the Apogee stuff is terrific as well. Okay. Right. Moving down, trying to find questions. How did the H-mine modulation algorithm stack up against the Mobius? Sounds like you use Mobius more for modulation. I would say that that's true, yeah. I probably use the Mobius more, but I love the Leslie in the H9. It's terrific, so I use that. And other than that, I haven't actually done much chorus, or I don't use a hell of a lot of modulation. I do modulated delay a lot, and it's not like I'm putting chorus on sounds a lot and stuff. A little bit recently more. But vibrato and stuff like that, I'll just use out of the Mobius generally, and I kind of use the H9s for reverb and delay and pitch shifting. And yeah, I do like it for Leslie. Sounds really good. I run the Mobius in front, so it's not stereo. I'm running it in a loop on my switcher. So if I want to do anything stereo and get some stereo modulation going, because I do have a stereo rig, then I'll use the H9. I can't really offer an opinion like, is the vibrato as good, or is I would have to play with the H9 modulations more. I just sort of put them on that board, and I use, in the loop, I don't do a hell of a lot of like stereo chorus or stereo phasing or something. When I use a phaser, I kind of like the vintage, like, I've got the Phase 95 on my board, and I run it in front. So, yeah. Henrique says, so sad about GitCon. A lot of awesome content coming from there. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how this whole thing's going to shake down. I'm just a small cog in that wheel. So we'll see what happens, Let's see here. Tone King's not going. See, I'm interested to see like who goes and who doesn't, and all that kind of stuff, and how I haven't even talked to Henning about it. Like we've sort of he's hit me up a couple times, and I'd like to have a conversation with him to see how he feels about it. I really don't want it to turn into this thing where it's like an us against them kind of thing. That would suck, right? I don't understand that, like from a business perspective. I saw a video that he put out about it, and he just said, well, we just had differing of opinion, and we kind of parted ways, and it wasn't that emotional or anything. I thought, well, that's cool. That's good to see. Because if it turns into a thing where it's like, well, you're either on our side or their side sort of thing, I think that would be really unfortunate. To get a bunch of people together to a great event, and it was a hell of a lot of fun, and then all of a sudden to have this acrimony thing, and that would be unfortunate. So I hope that that's not where it goes, and that if anybody decides to participate in it or participate in whatever Henning's going to do, that it's fine, and that there's not some sort of personal element that comes into it. I think that would be unfortunate. James says, thoughts on King's X and Hermosa Beach tonight? Yeah, man. That's at St. Rock tonight. King's X is playing. I thought about going to that, and then I bought tickets for the whiskey show on Wednesday. So I'm just going to go on Wednesday, I think, and that'll be I'm so slammed trying to get stuff done, the record and everything else, and everything. I'm always doing like videos and stuff. I can only take one now. I'd love to drive down there and see them twice, is what I'm getting at. But I think I'm just gonna go on Wednesday. And so if anybody's going to the whiskey, I'll see you there. King's X, man, let's go celebrate that great band. At what point did I decide to use a buffer? Says Chris. Well, I mean, I've been, it's probably like a lot of people where you were using a buffer but didn't even realize it. Like, oh, I've got a Boss pedal, and like my first pedal was a Super Overdrive, and that's buffered. So I was using a buffer when I was 10 and didn't even know it. So consciously, like to go, okay, where's my signal buffered and stuff. I probably became aware of this stuff like probably around the time you guys did, maybe like 10, 15 years ago or something like that. I was learning more about exactly what was going on with my guitar rig then. I've always been into gear, but as switchers and pedals started becoming, when you think about it, like it's like the boutique pedal thing. It really only started in like mid 2000, 2004 or 5. You started seeing the pedals coming. I mean, there was, in the 90s we had Way Huge and stuff. There was a few companies, but then it started exploding like into the last decade sort of thing, and people became more aware of buffers and that kind of thing. Yeah, Jared said it's pretty crappy they trademarked Henning's idea with GetCon and doing it without him. Speaking about Framus Warwick, yeah, I don't know what their business relationship was. To be honest, I don't have any idea. Henning could probably do another. It's just a name, right? So if he wants to go do a similar event with someone else, it's fine, And BV Ninja says, yeah, Henning's doing the new thing with Thoman now. Thoman. How do you say that? Thoman. And yeah, and I heard it was like soon, like, and I couldn't. He had mentioned May, and it was like, dude, I'm going to Japan. I can't. So anyway, John says I'd ask Henning first on his thoughts on my participation. I want to do that, and I want to talk to, and it would be I want to talk to him about it. Just haven't talked to him about it. I'd love to talk to Henning, and I'd love to talk to the Framus Warwick people and just get everybody's opinion, because I made friends with everybody, right, while I was there. That was the first time I met Henning, was the day I showed up, and it was the first time I met the Warwick Framus people. So I like Henning a lot. I mean, he's a great guy. He's awesome, and I liked those folks, too. They were very nice and put on a nice event. And so I want to talk to everybody, and, that's all. Knowledge is good. Just get all sides to every story and not have. It would be great if they just parted ways and they both did their events and there wasn't this acrimony. That's all I'm saying, where it's like, if it could be a nice, well, it just didn't work out, but we're going to do our thing, right? There's no need for to try and pit different people in the guitar community against one another and stuff like that. I'm not saying they're doing that at all. I'm just saying that's my fear, and it would be nice if that doesn't happen. Yeah. Jeff says, this is a really nice thing that Jeff's saying. He says, you're always a positive in a world of negative influences. It's always nice to hear someone positive, and love it. Thank you. I appreciate that, and I feel the same way about, I think that's how it should be. This is not a need for, even if people have differences of opinion and stuff like that, just keep it positive, and we're not like saving lives here. We're playing guitar and having fun and playing music, and right? It shouldn't be all. Sometimes stuff gets so heated. Modeling amps versus tube amps, Gibson versus Fender, stuff like that. I don't know. We're all late bloomers when it comes to the Beatles. That's true. Yeah, at this point. If I'm going to wire 2 overdrives in parallel, do I need to reverse polarity or anything, or will it be an issue? That's a great question. It might be an issue. If one overdrive flips phase and you bring it into the tone, it may, because when you're adding gain stages, they always flip phase, I think. But maybe certain overdrives could flip it twice if they've got 2 gain stages. I don't know. It's a good question for a tech like somebody like Friedman. It's possible. You might need to do something to flip flip phase if you're running two. That's an interesting, like running two drives in parallel. Certainly if you're running two amps, that happens. So that's a good thing to know. Like if you've got two amplifiers and you're split in stereo, right? Say you're coming out of a stereo chorus pedal or something, or an AB box or something that splits the two amplifiers, and one of them's got channel switching in it. Many times if you flip from, let's say you've got one amp, Fender Twin, let's say, right? And then you got a second amp, and it's got a clean channel in it. You're running the clean channel, and then you go to channel 2 in the other amp, but you don't do anything on that Twin. It's going to flip the phase in the other amp. Because when you add gain stages, it flips phase. I don't know why, but it does. And so now your sound's going to be out of phase. It's a problem with running two amplifiers and changing channels on two amps. So it's possible you could have that situation running two drives in parallel, I would think. Let's see here. What buffers do I run before and after? So the buffer in front of my rig is the Friedman, on my main pedal board is the Friedman buffer bay box. That's a Corner style buffer. And then at the end it's the Musicom. So the Musicom has buffers. It's got buffers in like 2 or 3, I think, and you can turn them on or have them off. So the coming out of the output on my Musicom is buffered as well, my switcher. And that's going to the front end of the amp. Happy Sunday from Dallas, says Gizzy. Hello, what's up? Can I buy Sir's? Can you buy? Can anybody buy? This is from Aaron. Sir's backplate that cancels 60 cycle hum for a Fender Strat. It's not a backplate system with Sir, and I don't honestly know if they sell it separately with their pickups or not. I don't think they do. I think it's just a system that goes in their guitars. The Silent SSC2, I believe it's called. So you'd have to hit them up, but I don't think so. I think if you want to buy, I could be wrong about that. Don't quote me on it, but I think if you want to buy a Silent system, you got to get the Illich one, which is what the Sir guys used to use. What pickups are in my 335? They're originals. It's a PAF in the neck, and which many people find odd because it seems late for a PAF. It's 63, but who knows? They just had pickups lying around in bins. Most people say, no, they all used up by 62 or something, but whatever. Maybe mine's an early 63, and there was one lying around. They popped it in there. So it's a PAF in the neck, and it's a patent number in the bridge. Everybody thinks PAF, ooh, but I'm actually not that crazy about the neck pickup in that guitar. I like the bridge pickup rips and sounds so good. And that's the magic tone on that guitar is the bridge. And the middle's pretty cool, but the neck, a little bit dark to me. Alrighty, let's see here. Hey there, Pete. Ever since you started making videos with the Two Notes brand, I jumped on that quick and absolutely love not using an amp on stage at church. Cool. That's from Dave. Yeah, Two Notes makes great stuff. Good people. Good people in France, and they make great products. And Ted, there's the phasing question again about the two drives. Tried to answer that. He says, thanks for everything as well. I run a small business and have you on most of the time. Tone Talk and live streams, other vids while you work. It's kind of nice, isn't it? It's like these live stream videos or podcasts or, it's like I'm into it all too. I've been working on my Japanese, and it's really nice. There's a great site called Japanese Pod 101 that I signed up for. And you have to pay a little bit of money to get into it. Some of their lessons are free, but you have to pay a little bit of money to get into them. And I sit there and listen to that. It's just great. Like these days, there's all this stuff that you can listen to and you can learn from, and it's entertaining and pretty cool. Phil says, I wish the Line 6 new cab would be an amp cab, not active cab, to be plugged directly into an amp and still have the emulations of different speakers. Well, you can kind of do that, can't you? With it. I mean, you can plug your amp into it. I see what you're saying. You're saying it can't be used with like a guitar. Right. Got it. Well, yeah, so the setup I was saying where you can use it with a load box, you could load down your amp and then plug into it. And then you could use your amp cranked into the zone kind of at any volume level. But yes, you're right. Then you need an extra thing, which is the load. It's interesting. Maybe you could pose that to them if they could make it somehow for any guitar amplifier. It'd be kind of cool. Maybe they'd come up with another version that's like meant for just, tube amps or something with no load. How do you mic your amps in stereo when playing live? Generally it's just a 57 on each cabinet, and then the guy has them panned in the house to whoever, wherever, who knows. I mean, I think generally if there's another guitar player in the band, he doesn't do a hard left and right thing. He'd probably do like a, one guy's kind of offset, and the other guy's offset the other way. But I tell them usually, like, if it's possible, hard pan one, and then if you're going to kind of split me in the PA, pan the other one at like 11 o'clock or something, all the way, so you get a little bit of the stereo spread if you've got something rotary going on. I try to not worry about it because it's beyond my pay grade. It's not my job in the anyway, that's not really your question though. Like if you're doing it, you could just hard pan. If it's your band and you're playing clubs or whatever, just hard pan them, and then you got your guitar, in stereo when you're doing anything. With any kind of imaging modulation stuff. Corey says he's been watching a lot of Tone Talk lately. I missed the one with MJ from Seymour Duncan. I really want to watch that. I watched a bit of Seymour's. Favorite is the Tim and Pete show, though, he says. Are there any other interview series you'd suggest? I like some of the Anderton's thing, like the Captain, the one with Ian Thornley, for example. He has some great guests on, and the Ian one was so good. I love that. So he has some good stuff going on. That's the one that comes to mind right off the top of my head. Let's see here. Do you think the wood of a cabinet makes a difference in the sound? Yeah, definitely. I think so. Cabinet design and the wood definitely makes a difference. How stiff the cabinet, like, the old Marshall cabinets were, you've got that the board between the front and the back, and they're tight but not too tight. There's this sound to the cabinet if it's a little, if it's not constructed to really rigid specs. This stuff is all, it definitely makes a difference. In the way that the sound, because the whole cabinet's like vibrating like a big, sound generator. And yeah, no, I definitely think it matters whether or not you got, it's all birch or particle board back or all that stuff. It becomes like a big guitar at that point, like a big moving thing. Let's see here. Finding another question. Have I tried the Keeley Mod Blues Driver? I haven't. Or any other modded Boss pedals. Well, mainly I've only used their own mods, which are the Waza ones, which I think are really great. Like the Waza Super Overdrive is awesome, and the Waza, I think I did a video for the Waza Blues Driver way back when, and it was cool. Blues Driver's a cool pedal, actually. Really good sounding pedal. My a guitar partner I had in a couple bands, Greg Saran, he uses a Blues Driver on kind of low gain, and he uses it for clean a lot, which might be kind of a Tim Pierce thing. God, I'm wondering now, because he worked with Tim a lot. But where you roll your volume control back like halfway, like a volume pedal, but you got the Blues Driver on, and you get this thicker mids thing, fatter. I kind of use the Jan Ray like that, actually, a lot. The Jan Ray with the volume rolled down on the guitar a little bit is a great fat, full clean. So, it'd be kind of cool. Blues Driver's a similar kind of sound to me. It's a good tone. Whatever happened, Jennifer's busting my balls on the whipping post solo I was going to look up. I know I didn't do it. I'm sorry. I'll do it. That was from last week. It's my Les Paul from the Amps in the Zone video, Real Burst. No, it's a Yaron. Yaron. Good old Gil Yaron. Makes some beautiful guitars. Thoughts on using a Sur 112 but half open back. Love the cab but miss the airiness of combos. I would ask Sur about that, whether or not it would work well. It's ported. If opening up the back is weird, I don't know. I'm not sure if that will be a good tone or not. Do I ever play the guitar when I come on a live stream like this? I probably should more. It's rare. I had a guitar hooked up once a few weeks ago, and I find it just gets me behind in the. I should do a live stream where I just, I don't know, hook up my pedal board and my amp rig or something and demonstrate tones or something. I haven't done a lot of it, but sometimes I wonder if just the talking thing's boring. It just seems like if I've got the guitar hooked up too, then the chat. The most complaints I've had is that I don't get through enough questions, and that I'm an hour behind in the chat. So it seems like in there the chat just jumped down. So I'm going to move down because I got to go in like 5 minutes, you guys. So I'm going to move down towards the bottom here. Which is the best amp that uses a power soak? I can't think of one that uses a power soak, actually an amplifier that has a built-in one. I guess, well, sure, there's some like the Ingve one, right? Doesn't it have a built-in attenuator, the Marshall, which was a great idea. Why they ever discontinued that amp, I don't know. Let's see here. What do I reckon about Avicii's sudden death? I don't know. I don't know what happened, actually. Wasn't his health... Didn't he have a pancreatic problem or something like that? Not really sure what happened, actually, to tell you the truth. Let's see here. Well, it looks like Friedman might be in the house, maybe. Am I right about that? Yeah, Dave's here. What's up, Dave? How are you, my friend? I haven't seen Dave for a minute, actually. Let's see. Let's see here. Let's see. Trying to find a question. How about the new band called The Night Game? Still like where it's going? I think that band's awesome. They sound like Mr. Mister to me. It's full 80s. If you guys like 80s kind of production, and it's great songwriting. I love that it's not that, you know, like that it's young guys making music that doesn't sound like the millennial whoop thing. You know what I mean? That crap, you know, that just like the pop music that, you know, or big gang vocals or like, you know, like the Imagine Dragons thing or whatever. Like those guys, I don't want to rip on those guys. They were pretty good. I like that band and where they were going, but it's the production style and the I don't know. I'm just a little burned out on that sound. Like, you know, that whole, you know, tribal drummed thing, and like there's almost no guitars or whatever, and it's a lot of background vocals, and they're trying to achieve power in a certain way. Because the Night Game to me sounds like I say, it's a little bit more like 80s. I mean, there's gated reverb on the snare, and you know, they don't do guitar solo stuff really, like, but it's close. They might as well, because it's like it's right there as far, you know, harmonically and like melodically and stuff like that, and also the production style sounds very 80s to me in a great way, like in a way that's like, oh god, that's so familiar and cool. Like we all got so far away from it, now you can come back, like 80s, good 80s, you know, sort of intelligent, cool production. So I like that band. Thoughts on Michael Schenker? He's amazing. I think Michael Schenker, like underrated, criminally underrated almost. Super melodic. And when you see him play now, go watch some of him lately on YouTube and stuff. He's still just ripping, and it sounds great. Like, he's so melodic and plays like, doesn't play bullshit. He plays like, he never overplays, I don't feel like. It's like, he's just got really great, he's cool. Michael Schenker's amazing. Stealth Parrot says he used to have a Tom Schultz Rockman headphone amp when he was a teenager. Loved the Rockman tone. I had a Rockman too, and I loved it too. It was cool. Let's see here. Wait, am I coming to Japan? I am coming to Japan, yeah. I'm going to Japan in June, right at the beginning, and I'm going to be in Japan for much of the summer. Okay, what else? Not seeing any more questions here, really, but I gotta go anyway, guys, so I'll try and find one more, and then I'm gonna jet. Laura Basilio's pedal demo for Sir has some amazing playing in it. Yeah, she's so awesome. Do I know if it's a song she wrote on the fly? She puts quite a bit of time into her compositions. Like, I'm sure she I'm not 100% sure. She might have a song written already that she decided to use for the demo and stuff. But she's a serious, like, she sits there and works on things and makes sure that they're up to her standards, and right down to the videos she makes and all that stuff. It's not, um, I mean, she's great improvising, but her writing, I'm sure she put some time into the song, is what I'm saying. She's a terrific, terrific musician. Any thoughts on boosting OCD with the tumness? It should work pretty good, I would think. I think that would stack nicely. OCD to me is kind of an amp-like sort of gain pedal. So using a tumnus in front should sound pretty good. You got to try it, though. Any thoughts on using hum eliminators or some sort of hum canceling devices in my rig or studio or home? Only ISO transformers and stuff like that, and make sure there's no ground loops. If there's a ground loop, I solve it. And then beyond that, noise gates and stuff like that sometimes. Oh, Leo's here from Frog Leap. What's up, Leo? How are you? He says, what inners do you use? I use, right now, 64 ears A5s. They're really good to me. They don't have too much bass, which is perfect, because in-ears is a good thing to know about in-ears. Don't get the ones, if you're a guitar player, that have a gajillion drivers. The A5s have 5, which to me is plenty. And the more drivers you get, generally, is more fuller bass, which might be great if you're doing EDM or you're a bass player or a drummer or something and you want to really feel it. But all that bass translates to, it doesn't sound like a very good guitar sound to me. So I've tried in-ears with like 11 drivers and stuff in them, and I didn't like them at all. To me, 3-driver UE7s are great for guitar players and singers, because they're made to be mid-forward and kind of put those frequencies that you need to hear for your instrument. They work really well. And A5s are really similar to me, with maybe a little bit more clarity. JH Audio is another good company that people really seem to like. Let's see here. Frog Leap Studios says, just chilling on a Sunday evening in the fjords of Norway. I know you are, sir. Miss you, buddy. Be good to see you sometime soon. Okay. All right. What's my signal chain when I use an attenuator? How do you get stereo effects? Well, you have to run 2 amps to do stereo effects. Or load down an amp, take the line level out, run it into a stereo effect of some sort, split out either into another power amp or something. That's one way to do it, too. Kind of complicated. Bunch of different ways to tackle that. All right. Let's see. There was just a difference. This is BV Ninja says, there was just a difference of opinion in how GitCon should develop. Who should come as Warwick Framus not only provide the place, they also foot all the bills. Yeah, they did. They spent a lot of money on that event. I know that. So, cost money. So, do I have tuning issues with my 335? Not a hell of a lot. I use Big Ben's nut sauce on Gibson guitars in the nuts to lubricate. Sometimes on the bridge it is helpful. Just trying to bust through a bunch. It's 12:14. I'm going to go in 60 seconds. I haven't seen you do a Vintage King video lately. I don't work for them anymore. They hired me to do a bunch of videos years ago, and that just sort of ended. I think they wanted to kind of do their own thing or do in-house videos or something like that. I think they're happy with the ones I did, but they just changed their direction a little bit. They probably, I'm only guessing, but my guess is that they probably wanted something that looked a little bit more like a Vintage King branded, sort of very professional look, maybe. I'm only guessing. But also, it got to be where I had a lot of Vintage King videos I had to do, but also videos from other companies, and they probably wanted them a little bit faster, because I just can't do that many. It's only me here doing it, so it's like once again, I'm guessing they never complained or anything like that, but I think that they probably just decided to move it in-house and do their own thing because of that, and build their channel, because I have a Vintage King playlist on my channel so that they could, take advantage of, getting videos to my subscribers and stuff through me posting them. I think they wanted to kind of go, okay, that's well and fine, but now we want to build our own YouTube thing. I'm guessing. I am only guessing. One more question. One more question. Let's see. On the opening of your song "Perplexed," do you use the ice delay from the timeline? You use the ice delay. Yeah, I did. I think. I forgot, but yeah, you're right. How would you go about getting that sound from your Boss DD500? Probably use shimmer. Just it's like a shimmer kind of. Does the DD500 have that? I believe it does have like a pitch shift kind of delay in it. I don't know if they call it shimmer or not, but it has that sound. So I would just do that. It's basically just an octave up mixed in. You know, and I could use probably delay and shimmer reverb or something mixed in as well and get a really, really similar sound. Or maybe just use a pitch shifter, blend it in with some delay. And I would probably use DD500 and one of the H9s or something to do that. You guys, I gotta go. I'm sorry, I gotta go track this song, but it's gonna be great. I'm gonna go make a video right now with Kurt Biscara, where we, pull out the 8P. I gotta set it up with this laptop I'm on right now and plug it in, figure out how to use it, plug in 8 or 7 microphones, and there's gonna be one for me tracking the guitar, and we're gonna make a video tracking one of the last things that I'm doing for the record. So it's kind of a decidedly 90s sounding song. Sounds like a mixture between 90s Rush and Tool. It's just how it turned out. I don't know. We'll see. I got to run. Sorry it was a shorter one this week, but I hope you guys are good and have a great Sunday. And thanks for joining in and all your great questions and stuff. And I appreciate it. See you soon. Bye.